I'm going to start our recording here. Excellent. And again, welcome. Here's an overview of the agenda. I have a ton of slides to get through, so I'm going to be talking pretty quickly at various points, and that's because I want to at least spend a little bit of time here at the end, hopefully catching a couple of questions through the presentation. We are recording this. We do plan to send that out a little while later via email. We'll also be publishing the recording somewhere at some point. I don't have an exact location yet, but we'll be sure to share that with all of you. You will notice everyone is on mute, and that's because you can imagine as we get up to a couple of hundred people here joining the call, there could be a lot of background noise there, and so we're going to keep everyone on mute. You can ask questions through that question module, but just keep in mind we have a lot of content to get through here, so we probably won't be addressing any of them specifically until we get to the end of the presentation. I'm going to start off with a quick introduction of who I am, to talk about what it means to plan for a successful freelance business, really just some of the basics you should keep in mind. More specifically, what are some things to keep an eye out for on the Upwork platform if you're joining us as a freelancer? Talk about brand management, how to work with clients in a remote fashion, more importantly, because that's what you're all going to be doing as freelancers. And then we'll wrap things up with some key takeaways and the like. This is me. Like I said, my name is Garner. I'm Director of Community and Education here at Upwork. I've been with the team for over 5 years. Started with Elance. We became Elance Odesk, and we rebranded a couple of years ago as Upwork. So I'm really pleased to do this. This is what I've been doing since day one, is talking with all of you, talking with freelancers, talking with clients on the platform. I enjoy it. I'm happy to do that and to be doing this today as well. And currently I have about over 10 freelancers that I work with on a really regular basis as part of my role. So we have freelancers who work with us on our discussion forums and managing some of our education efforts with other programs that our team helps to coordinate. So I know the freelancer lifestyle quite a bit, and I think you guys are in a really neat space. So what we're hoping you're going to be able to achieve as part of this presentation here is hopefully really identifying what are some of those things that you need to do to hit the ground running and achieve some early success on Upwork. Some of those more broadly, how to really plan for and build an online brand for yourself. We're going to highlight some best practices for client relationship management. And then we wanted to show you what it means to become a top freelance professional and highlight some of the programs that await you if you are able to achieve this on the Upwork platform. You know, we've come a long way. Today's typical office environment is something that was really started a long time ago and came out of the 50s, as early as the 50s, when, you know, in the Industrial Revolution matured and jobs moved to the service sector. And you know, at that point, it really became a matter of allowing people to lend their skills and their efforts with simply just a computer and a phone. But the way that we structured those roles, the way that we structured those businesses really didn't evolve that much, right? There's still many inflexible ways of doing work. There's many companies that still require the 9 to 5. And this is something that many of us believe here we're coming out of. With the 21st century, we're realizing the opportunity that comes from allowing workers to work from anywhere in a flexible fashion, from across the globe, at different time zones, all of those things. Work is no longer about a specific place. You know, now we can bring the work to the worker. We can bring the work to the talented professional. Businesses are no longer limited by geography. Companies can access the most highly skilled professionals from all over the world. This isn't something that they could do before, and it's being made possible through the internet, through the communication tools and processes that are being developed over time. For you as a freelancer, you can expand your job search to companies all over the world. You can work for all types of companies. You can work for the best companies in the world from whatever location you're at. And that's something that's pretty neat. And I'm going to move into what it means to plan for a successful freelance business. So let's go ahead and talk about that for a bit. these are just some of the basics. You know, what every freelancer should be prepared to do, and many of you might have done this already, is set up that workplace. You want that workspace that has minimal distractions. If you're doing it at home, it's fine. Have that private area, that office space, that room that you can be working out of. Need a computer, we need internet access, right? I think that goes without saying. But from a computer standpoint, preferably a laptop, because that does allow you to take your work with you and work wherever you want to. That internet connectivity should absolutely be the strongest, most reliable possible. A smartphone. Many of us have these days, but this allows you maybe not necessarily to do the actual work, but to keep in touch and to stay connected with your clients via emails, via the Upwork messaging app, things of that sort at any time. Having that power backup, of course, if your internet's not too stable in your location, or an alternative. If it's an internet cafe, if it's a shared office space that you can go to, if anything that happens with your own internet, always good to have those in mind. And then specific equipment that's related to your skill. If you're a graphic designer, you might want to obtain a graphic pen. If you're a game developer, you might want to start building up your testing devices so that those aren't things that you always need to go out and purchase for each job. And it's important to set those work hours. Most importantly, because this helps set expectations with your clients and also helps you decide on the projects that you're going to pursue. So, you know, understand or make that decision. Are you full-time? Are you going to do this part-time? Or is this really a freelance work that you're going to use to do on an ad hoc basis as those projects come up and as your time becomes available? You always have flexibility in determining your work schedule. But at some points, you know, some clients are going to have requirements or expectations around that. So just make sure that you're comfortable with setting that up on your own schedule. If I'm going to go out and pursue those projects with clients that are, you know, in the Eastern time zone in the United States, as an example, and let me make sure I clarify that right away with them to understand if that's something that I can meet those demands, because maybe they have conference calls I'm going to need to join. Maybe they have quick conversations, quick chats that they need to send my way, and I need to be available for that. When you're ready to start your freelance business, you'll want to address any legal or administrative requirements. You know, it's very important to understand that freelancers are self-employed, and you run your own business. We make this very clear on Upwork, and if you haven't, you know, understood that today, let me help make that clear. But if you are a freelancer on Upwork, you are working for yourself. You are establishing your own business. You are not working for Upwork. You are establishing your own business and developing those relationships and working with those clients through the Upwork platform. If it makes sense, consider registering a business name. You know, check with your local accountant, with your financial consultant to really understand what are the tax implications, if any, of how you're managing a business here online. Okay, so let's dive into some of the, actually let me take a quick pause. Are people seeing my screen and hearing my voice? It looks like we might have had, okay. Okay, great, thanks folks. I thought some people might have been still seeing the video. I saw a note there from Carolyn. Okay, let's talk about some Upwork best practices. First of all, to hopefully get you excited about what awaits you. As a freelancer on Upwork, there's a path that's available here that we hope you're going to follow, a path that you're hopefully going to pursue. As a new user, you're signing up. That's the start. That's the bottom right there. Hopefully, you're becoming a rising talent freelancer. Rising talent freelancers are those who are building a complete profile, hopefully having some early success with some projects. From there, over time, after working with 3 unique clients, getting 4 completed projects, you can achieve what's called a job success score. You want to aim for that 100% job success score. That is based on public-private feedback that you're receiving from clients. It's based on consistent earnings. We're taking into account how many of those projects are for long periods of time, which indicate satisfaction and good work with clients, rolling that into a job success score, a score that you can have on your profile, which then enables you to achieve what's called top rated status. From there, we've just recently, over the past months, launched premium programs. And this is where you want to be. With premium programs, we're offering programs like Upwork Pro, Upwork Enterprise, Talent Agents. And I'm going to get into these a little bit more detail further in the presentation, but these are all aimed to help you help the best freelancers on Upwork be even more successful by offering you opportunities to work for Fortune 500 type businesses, by offering you opportunities to work with clients who have stated they have long-term projects and high budgets as part of what they're hiring for. So this is where you want to be. This is a path we're hoping you'll take. This is an example of a profile for a freelancer with rising talent status, and that badge, you see it right here in blue, rising talent. Let's take a deeper look at why her profile is so special and so good. As you're building your own profile, you want to think about how prospective clients might be viewing you. What type of keywords are they searching for? What type of skills do they need as part of their job posts? The reason for that is that's something that's going to play a role into how something as basic as you put your title in your own profile. Digital marketing strategist and blogger. It's very clear right off the bat what Carmela does, what type of skills she offers, what type of services she does here. That's the type of specificity that you want to have, and that's built not only through the skills that she knows, but also for what she expects clients are going to be looking for. This overview section is super important right here, because this is where you're going to be able to describe in your own words and add additional context to the title that you have. Okay, what does it mean to be a digital marketing strategist and blogger? What kind of services does that include? What kind of success has Carmela had in this area, and what can she highlight as some of her main accomplishments there? So focus on what you're good at, and only that. Be specific. There's very few clients, I'll tell you right now, that come to Upwork looking for a generalist, looking for someone who can do everything. Instead, they're coming to Upwork saying, I'm looking for a health and wellness blogger. I need to hire someone who can do a new database implementation for my small business. I need an iOS mobile game developer. Those are the types of specifics that clients are coming here looking for. You should be as targeted and specific in your profile as well. Have a professional looking photo. Shoulder length to headshot. Headshot images are great. Friendly, welcoming expression, something in color translates best. And go back and take a look at this. You know, check your rate every few months. Have you completed some projects over time that have led to, you know, maybe you can put a higher hourly rate up there. That all of these elements of your profile are adjustable, so you should be taking a regular check back. Other things that you can do, you can add a client testimonial. If you had a really great experience with a client, someone who's willing to put their name out there and to put their business out there, so it's a recommendation for you. You can add a quick quote in your overview section. Make sure you're going through the skill test area of your profile and updating some skill tests and taking some new ones. Those are free quizzes to you. And if you don't do well on a skill test, you don't need to display it. Take advantage of that portfolio section. There's a portfolio area where you can upload real examples of the type of work that you do. So, hang on one second here. So this can be image files, this can be audio files, this could be videos. And if you're looking for ideas on what to include there, visit our community, community.upwork.com, and look up Building a Portfolio. We did a great webinar a few months back that has some good ideas for you. Do an introductory video, 30 seconds to a minute to introduce yourself and show clients that, hey, this is a real person on the other side of this, someone who's highly skilled, someone who can communicate effectively. And then take advantage of the resources that are out there, our blog, our hiring headquarters, and the community that I just mentioned, community.upwork.com. Fill out your profile. Take some time with it. Too often I see freelancers who will not take the time to complete the entire profile because they think, oh, maybe this part doesn't matter. Maybe this is less important here. It matters. Clients want that complete picture of you. They want that trust that it's going to be very difficult to get, quite frankly, for someone that they've never met. The way to establish that trust, establish that confidence, take those skill tests, share your education, add to your portfolio, give them something to build that confidence from. As you go and search for projects, right, you build out your profile, you're going to go look for some new opportunities out there. There's a lot of filter options available to you. And I'm not going to go through this list in too much detail because you'll see those filters as you pull them up in that job search page. But take advantage of them. It can really help you get started in figuring out, all right, I'm just starting out. Let me find the best possible projects for me. And you can start off by looking at whether it's fixed price or hourly, whether it fits within your experience level, so on and so forth. A lot of options there for you. And after you use those filter options, you're going to have a list of jobs that you might want to pursue. And we encourage you to not go out and just blast proposals all over the place, right? We want you using your time wisely. We want you using your connects wisely. We know that every job is not a good fit for you, and you're not a good fit for every job. So as you're looking at those job posts that are posted by clients, think about and set up your own checklist. Do I have the right skills and interests for this job? Can I prove that I have the right skills based on my experience or the tests that I've taken? Do I have the time for the scope of the project? Is it even going to meet my needs financially? Is this the right rate, or is it close enough that, hey, maybe I might be able to negotiate with the client? And you can also even take a look at a client's experience if they've hired on Upwork before, just by clicking on their profile there to find out a little bit more about what they've done in the past. After you find those projects that seem like a really good fit, it's time to submit a proposal. And there's a lot of detail here on this slide that I'll invite you to read here on your own. But one thing that I want to make sure I call out for all of you is each proposal should be different. Each proposal should be an effort to win this particular job and work with this particular client. The proposals that lose, the ones that don't lead to a hire, are those proposals where a freelancer is just copying and pasting the same thing over and over again. So you want to fully understand what the client's looking for as much as possible, right? In some cases, they're not going to give you all the detail that you need. And in those instances, ask questions that are going to help you get to that point. Hey, client, I see you're hiring for this type of video production. What format do you need this in at the end of the day? Where do you expect to display this video? Do you want background music as part of the production? Are you expecting voiceover? This is a tutorial. See, all of those things are showing that you're adding value, that you've thought carefully about this job post, and that what you want to help this client be successful. And so these are some of the other details. I'll just read them off here really quickly. Start with a professional personal greeting. Include a little bit of a description about your relevant experience. Don't just say you do videos. Say you do tutorial videos that are similar to what this client's hiring for. Make it relevant to what their needs are. Relate it back to the job posts. Show them that you've clearly read that. Outline your approach, how you would plan to complete this job. Definitely answer any screening questions that they might have had in their job description. And invite them, open yourself, give your availability for an interview. That's really the next step. You want to have that call, that video and voice call, ideally in the messages area of your Upwork account, so you can keep that dialogue there and have that conversation. Obviously, proofread it, go back and make sure there's no errors there. Another important tip is to be responsive. And I think what happens with this is freelancers in many instances say, well, I'm getting invitations from clients because clients can find you and they can say, hey, I think your skills are really interesting. Come submit a proposal to my job. And freelancers might say, well, this job post is not interesting for me. Well, you should still respond to it. You can respond by declining it. Ideally, you're responding if it's a good project with an affirmative and hopefully with a proposal. But the key here is to be responsive, because that does matter. If Upwork is seeing that, hey, you're not responding to anything here, well, for us that indicates you might not be active on the platform. You might not want these invitations from potential clients. Let's start showing people who do want them. So that's what we're trying to see here. Prepare for the interview. So I mentioned setting up an online interview. You absolutely want to do this. That means your foot's in the door, right? That means you're talking with the client and they're interested enough to have a quick call with you. You'll see that anytime a client responds to one of your proposals, it creates a message room. And within that message room, there's a little camera icon that you can use to trigger and start a video call. Make yourself available. Tell them a few times that'll work for you. And be flexible with those time zones and those preferences. Some people don't want to do video. Some people say, hey, can we just do a quick chat over Skype or over Hangouts? That's okay. Ideally, we want you to do it through the message room, so that should be your first recommendation. Make sure you're prepared with the job requirements. Double check your equipment. Have a friend and you do a quick test call to make sure that video and that voice functionality is working correctly. Be professional and honest. Don't mislead clients. Don't oversell your skills or your experience. If clients are saying, hey, have you done I'm hiring you for a new website design. Have you done early stage mock-ups as part of the websites that you've coded? Maybe you haven't. It's okay to admit that. Don't say you have a skill if you don't have it, because we don't want you setting incorrect expectations with the clients and putting both of you in a bad position for the project moving forward. Get as much information as you can about the job itself. What are the missing details that you're going to need to be successful? And make sure you're double checking on deadlines. Some clients, might have in their mind what they're expecting to see in 2 days, but you guys don't discuss it. That could be a problem down the road. Part of submitting your proposal, much of what you're doing on Upwork is getting paid, right? You want to get paid what you're worth. I'm not here to tell you how much you should charge if you are, let's say a CS representative managing technical escalations over email. I don't have that knowledge for you. I'm not here to do that for you. What I can tell you is the information's out there, and it's going to be something that you adjust to and that you become more experienced and more comfortable with over time. So start with some basic research. Any online search engine is going to give you some average rates. How much does a graphic designer, doing print designs make per hour? Start with some of that. A great place to start is Upwork. I would tell you, if you go and change that search bar from searching for jobs to searching for freelancers and type in some of the keywords, some of the skills that are similar to what you do. So look at other bloggers, look at other translators, and look at those people who show up as top rated and who have had good success on the platform. Everyone has an average hourly rate listed on their profile. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how much they charge on their projects, but it can actually give you a baseline to say, oh, this person charges $35 an hour. I actually have more training and experience than they do. I haven't done any Upwork projects yet, but maybe for my first couple of projects, I'll bid $30 an hour. Maybe I'll bid $38 an hour as part of my proposal. So that can help. After you submit your proposal with an estimated budget, oftentimes it's going to lead to a negotiation, right? So you might put your proposal out there saying this project will cost $2,000. The client comes back to you and says, I understand what you're doing here, but I only want to pay $1,000. And maybe your response to that is, well, let's come to maybe come to a decision somewhere in between. Here's some of the services that I'm anticipating to provide as part of this project that warrant the cost of $1,600. Okay, have that dialogue. Be flexible with that. Don't be put off if a client comes and says, I don't want to charge that. I don't want to pay that. I want to pay a little bit less. Consider that as an opportunity to open up that conversation. You can always withdraw it. Okay, we don't want you getting in a position where you're working on a project, going into it, thinking you should be paid more. That's not a good place to be in. Chances are you're not going to put your full effort towards it, You want to be in a position where, hey, this is something that I'm comfortable with, and I'm gonna do the best job I possibly can. Working outside of Upwork eliminates all your protections, violates our terms of service. So as you're coming to an agreement with your client, you are agreeing to get paid on the Upwork platform. It is super important. And we're doing that because we want to be there to help. We want to make sure that you're getting paid for the work that you do. The only way we can do that is if you're getting paid on the platform. Protect yourself. Make sure you're familiar with Upwork's terms of service. There's a lot of information in our terms of service. You'll see it at the bottom of every Upwork page, a link to our terms of service, our user agreement. Scan through it, look at the important parts. What can I do as part of my projects? What can't I do as part of my user agreement? Do not start work with a client until they've actually sent you the offer and it's been accepted. Until that job is awarded on Upwork, it is not an active job. And we do not want you doing any work ahead of time because, again, that puts you at risk of doing some work and not getting paid for it. We don't want that to happen. If a client's saying, hey, let's just take this off of Upwork, I'll just send you the money through PayPal. I'll just wire you the money. I'll write you a check. Don't do it. Report that instead to us. That is not the way you're getting paid. You are getting paid through the Upwork platform. Okay? You are going to your Upwork account and withdrawing money to your PayPal account. You're withdrawing money from Upwork to your bank account. Okay? The clients are not sending you that money directly. That's how you stay protected. Clients should not be requesting free work. You should not be doing free work. And that's something like if a client says, hey, can you design a couple versions of the logo before I decide if I want to hire you or not? That's considered free work. If the client says, hey, can I have you record the first 30 seconds of my audio clip so I can see how your voice sounds, that's considered free work. The alternative is, I've done 3 logos that are similar to what you're doing. Here they are. Or here's some of my voiceover examples that are in a similar fashion to the type of copy that you're looking for me to record. That's not free work. That's showing clients examples of stuff that you've done before. Sorry, I might have skipped ahead here. Let me come back. Yeah, and never pay to get a job. You're not here to pay for work. You're here to get paid. And if a job looks suspicious, report it to our customer support team. You can click the report as violation or report as inappropriate link, and that'll get to our team for review. You want to get that feedback from clients at the end of a project. You want to get paid. Next step is you want to get the feedback, because the feedback rolls into your profile. And remember I talked about that job success score. You want to be getting that information. So at the end of a project, thank your clients and remind them that, hey, this is important. Can you please leave some feedback? You don't have to badger them for it. Okay, we're going to remind them as well, and let them know you're available for more work. Get their approval to use that finished product in your portfolio. Hey, client, can I use the logo that I designed? Can I use a snapshot of that as something in my portfolio? Is it okay if I take a couple of sections of the blog that I wrote, put that in my portfolio? Because you're going to need that approval if you ever do want to show that. I talked earlier about going back to that hourly rate on your profile. Think about making some adjustments there. This is just an exercise of maintenance, right? You want to be going back to your profile on a regular basis, changing up the things in your portfolio, adjusting that hourly rate if you've completed some projects that have been highly successful, taking some new skill tests if you've learned some new skills. Job success score. I talked about in order to obtain that score, you got to work with at least 3 different clients and 4 completed jobs to earn that score. This is about doing great work. Okay, so it's easy to get caught into the weeds and say, well, I shouldn't have been rated this, and I should have been rated that, and why is it being calculated this way? I can tell you right now, if you focus on delivering great work for your clients, on setting the right expectation, right? Delivering great work doesn't mean doing a bunch of stuff for free. If those expectations are set appropriately and you're doing what's expected and communicating regularly with your client, that job success score is going to take care of itself. Many freelancers take a while. could take up to 24 months, let's say, to complete 5 projects. But for those of you who are really starting to hit the ground running, following a lot of what we talked about today, it will not take that long. Strive for that top-rated status. You know, top-rated freelancers have a job success score of 90+%, over 1,000+ earnings in the past year. Once you get to 1,000, basically you've hit that. 100% completed profile. Again, that's just a matter of filling out that profile, keeping that availability up to date, and no policy violations, no recent account holds. You get that top-rated badge as a result. You'll get exclusive job invitations from in-house recruiters, personalized recommendations to strengthen your profile, priority support access, and private access to a top-rated forum in our community where you can keep an eye on some different events and services that we offer exclusively for you. It also sets you up to join and be able to access, become part of our premium programs. These are programs that have been created for top freelancers with proven experience to get the best projects that are being posted to the Upwork platform. And freelancers who are part of the premium programs, they're achieving a lot of success. They typically have 2 times higher earning potential. They're seeing a 50% increase in the high-value job invitations that they're getting. And they're getting twice as many recommendations to high-value jobs. Basically, this is where you want to be, right? If you're in the premium programs up there at the top, the pinnacle of that pyramid that I'm showing, you're going to be in great shape because it means you're getting visibility and access to projects that only the best freelancers on Upwork are getting. Based on market demand, these programs, so we currently have tests for web and mobile development, admin support, and customer service. And for other skills, we'll do some specific vetting and review with freelancers that we invite based on their off-platform work, your educational background, your industry certification. If you meet the requirements, and I invite you to go to support.upwork.com, look up premium programs. Again, that's support.upwork.com. You'll find the requirements there, and if you meet those requirements, there's really 2 ways to access the premium programs. You can either fill out an application to indicate your interest, and then you submit your area of expertise as part of that. Afterwards, you complete a skill assessment. And then if you pass that assessment, complete the interview, you'll automatically gain access to the programs. So yeah, and this is an overview of kind of how we think about premium programs, premium freelancers. There's a large pool of all freelancers, rising talent, and top-rated freelancers are a subsegment of that. Within that, there's even a smaller subsegment, which is the premium one that's listed there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about building a brand. And that's whether you're purposely doing that or not, as you're getting started as a freelancer on Upwork, it is going to be something that happens. And I'll do a quick pause here, just a quick audience check, make sure everyone's paying attention. What's your brand? Okay, if you had to list in 3 words or less your personal brand, what would that be? And to kind of set the parameters here, this great quote by Jeff Bezos, which is, your brand's what people say about you when you're not in the room. What are those 3 words they use to describe your brand? So if you want to drop that into the question module, that'd be great. And something to kind of switch up the gears here. Through a personal brand, individuals can differentiate themselves by regularly articulating, leveraging their unique selling proposition. That's the definition that we've stated here. You might have different iterations on this. At the end of the day, what we're talking about is, what's that emotion? What is that tagline that people are using as they're describing you? You know, and these are some for clearly popular people that we might have regular and definite associations with. This is how you should think about your own professional profile, your own professional business, as you're thinking about building your brand online. You know, and this is a numbers game, right? What we're talking about is by 2020, up to half of the U.S. workforce is going to be independent. That's a lot of competition, okay? Many freelancers, you're going to see it on Upwork, many freelancers are competing in the same pool as you. Right? If you don't do what you can to start to establish your own brand and what differentiates you, it's going to be difficult to stand out. And that's why we have this section in this presentation. We're talking about standing out, building your own brand so that you can differentiate yourself from the other hundreds of thousands or thousands of freelancers who might do health and wellness blogging, or the graphic designers on Upwork who all say that they can, design email collateral. Yeah. What about yourself? What about your skills, your experience? Can you position differently so that you stand out? Okay. Branding is how clients remember you. Marketing is that megaphone that you use to talk about your brand. Sales is how you turn that into money, into earnings. In order to have a successful career in business online, all of these, and anywhere really, all of these need to be considered. You can have the best, you can't pick and choose each of these. You can have the best marketing, the best megaphone out there in the world, but if you don't have something definitive that you're always saying about yourself, or a way to then turn that into business, it's not going to mean much. If you're not setting that stage for your potential clients, either someone's going to do it for you or no one's going to do it for you, right? So whether or not you like it, people have a personal brand, in particular on Upwork. It's just all the more important. You have a professional brand that you're establishing here. A great way to start to get a grasp on that, to think about how you're going to brand yourself differently than other freelancers on Upwork, or really than other freelancers in general online, is by looking at our skills index. Because what we're doing here is telling you, hey, here's some of the ways that clients are thinking about these skills and this type of work on Upwork. Take a look at this skills index, see how it matches up with what you're doing, and look to integrate some of these keywords as you build out your profiles, build out that title and that overview section, and start to really call that out in the proposals that you're sending and the correspondence that you're having with potential clients. Define your brand. Stick to what you do best. That's really where it starts. I talked about earlier, most clients are not looking for generalists, they're looking for experts. Kind of really stand out that way. This is really critical to keep in mind as you're managing your brand. Are those skills up to date? Are you consistent? Right? And what we'll see client or freelancers often do is, position themselves as an expert in, let's say, graphic design. But then, as they're submitting proposals, as they're corresponding with clients, they might not have the skills to back that up, or their communication is saying otherwise. Hey, I'm an expert in this area, but oh no, I haven't really worked for any clients in the past or in this capacity. So make sure you're consistent. Keep learning. Keep an eye on emerging trends and topics in your space. Ask for some feedback from clients on those completed jobs. See what you can do better, how you can position yourself as an expert. Does your brand reflect the most current work and status? And what are they saying online about you? Right? Do some searches on your name, on your skills, on your business. Particularly as you start to establish a reputation here. See what comes up, make those modifications if it makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about managing those client relationships, and in particular how to handle some of those hairy issues that might come up. Whether it's clients asking for something that is a little bit tricky on the platform, whether it's being able to meet deadlines. This is something that a lot of freelancers will struggle with, and in many cases, it might not be your fault. Maybe a deadline is creeping up on you, the work's not quite done, but there's some other circumstances that have rolled into this and why you might be delayed. Maybe some of those circumstances are a result of the client and not you. There's ways to handle that, and really, it's important to start with one of the basics, which is just be honest with yourself, be honest with your clients as you're working with them. In a negotiation, or whether it's actually through the project itself, if there's an error that takes place in invoicing or whatnot, make sure you're talking to your client. Hey client, I noticed that you inadvertently issued that bonus payment. You know, I wanted to let you know that that's something that we were due to apply in a couple of weeks because the hours might, the hours might exceed what we have on the timesheet. You know, you're oftentimes the one who's paying more attention to the contract on Upwork than your client is. Because of that, there is a responsibility there to be honest, to keep them informed. It's going to set you up for success. Keep your promises. If you're saying, hey, this is going to be delivered on this date, do your best to do that. Don't overpromise as part of your negotiations, as part of your proposals. Have some options. If you're heading into a negotiation on a proposal or on a project, get in there prepared. Make sure that, hey, this is my bottom line is I want to get paid $2,300 for this project. But if the client takes out part of this scope, I'll be willing to do it for $2,000. Have those things prepared ahead of time. Have those options ready. Be willing to say no or walk away from a deal. This is a hard thing to do, particularly if you're starting to build a reputation on Upwork. But you have to be willing to say no and to really end things professional, okay? Because if the client's saying, I really want to work with you, this also looks great. Oh, by the way, here's 3 more drafts that I need of this white paper that you're doing, or hey, this logo is not what we talked about. I need it done 5 more times in 3 different formats. And you're saying, wait a minute, that's not what we agreed upon. I deliver what was expected. Sometimes you're going to have to talk to the client, be upfront with them and say, hey, you know what, I don't think this is working out. Let's agree that I will get paid for what has been delivered, but I think it's time to end the contract so we can both move on. Follow the golden rule. At the end of the day, treat those clients like you want to be treated. You're here as a professional. You want to treat your clients as a professional as well, and that is not always easy to do. We all get that. But it is important that in some instances, hey, it might be better to end this relationship, or hey, I'm going to reach out to my client before it gets too late to make sure that we're both on the same page and we're dealing with this in a professional manner. There might be conflict that comes up as you're working on Upwork. Most relationships, most contracts go really, really well, but hey, there's those that don't. Come at it from a customer-centric perspective. Focus on the client's needs. We're not saying bend over backwards and do whatever they're asking. That is not what we're saying here. But come at it, have their perspective, put your client lens on, and think about what can I help? What can I do to help this situation? Don't just simply react. Respond to those clients. Take the time to have that dialogue. I tell freelancers and clients all the time, have a lot of communication between each other. That helps avoid conflict in the first place, but then when it does arise, you're there to address it very quickly. If there's anything you're unclear on, ask the question. Oftentimes deadlines get missed or other complications come into a project because there's not that clear dialogue. Just ask the question. Talk to your clients, send them that message through the message area, and get a response right away. I'll look for outcomes that are going to help both of you and continue those relationships. It's really important to manage client expectations up front. The top freelancers on Upwork, those who have consistently achieved success, they're really good about setting expectations up front, both in their proposal and in the dialogue that happens through those negotiations. Okay? Don't expect that that anything goes without saying. If you're expecting to do 3 drafts of something before you get to the final one, say that. Okay. If your client's saying that they want something that's ready for to be a video that can just immediately go to YouTube, ask them, hey, are you expecting to also place it in other video channels? Set those expectations very, very clearly at the start of a project as much as you can. Account for and adapt to differences in time zones. If you're not on the same time zone as your client, make sure you're accounting for that. Do you need to get up earlier? Do you need to stay a little bit later? Or are there certain days where you can make those adjustments? Make sure the clients are aware of your availability. What you don't want them is sending you a note through the message area when you're not available and you hadn't planned to check your computer at all or check your mobile app. Be proactive about this. Be clear and precise and thorough in your communication. Respond to communications very promptly, and definitely make use of some of that follow-up. All right, let's wrap this up. Here's some of what we've learned today. What you need to do to earn your first $1,000 on Upwork. And I think it's more just about being successful and hitting the ground running. And if you want a little bit more detail around the profile setup or the payment setup or even writing a great proposal, I invite you to go ask in the community, look up Interactive Freelancer Webinar. I host a webinar every couple of weeks where we get into some really fine detail on each of those sections. And if you don't want to listen to my voice again, I have a recording there available too, and it's not my voice, it's someone else doing the voiceover. So look up Interactive Freelancer Webinar, you'll get some great tips there. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about what it means to manage and build an online brand. That's a little bit, I think, of a more nebulous space, but at the end of the day, what we want you to think about there is being targeted, being specific about the skills and the work that you offer. That's really what that section is all about, doing that in a way that makes you stand out. We touched on some of the best practices for relationship management, and then also a little bit about what it takes to become a top-notch freelance professional, how you want to get that rising talent, top-rated, premium program level status. Take advantage of what you learned today. Take a look on the site today. Look for 5 projects, maybe less, maybe more, that are going to be a good fit for you, and take your shot. Submit those proposals. Work with other freelancers. Network and exchange some best practices. The community is a great place to do that. So are some of the meetups and other events that we're doing on a more local level. We have what's called Upwork Huddles. These are currently taking place in 33 cities, internationally 19 U.S. cities. We'll be sending invites out to you specifically. You can come and talk to many other top-rated and rising talent freelancers and actually share some best practices, hear what they're doing, share your own experiences, and hopefully get a little bit better about what you're working on. You can also look up Upwork Huddles in our support center, support.upwork.com. Just look up Upwork Huddles there. It's a bunch of information, resources for you. If you go to Upwork and you look up our hiring headquarters, you'll see a link to that at the bottom of the page. I mentioned our community already. We have a free ebook that's available through that hiring headquarters and in our blog. Just a lot of resources that we want to make available to help you be more successful.